And with that, we wrap up Floral Green. I hope you enjoyed this thing as much as I do. Before I get into my final thoughts, I wanted to emphasize how much I love that second to last track, Lefty. Admittedly, it doesn't sound entirely different from like the rest of the album, but there's just something about that chorus and where he takes it and the melody in it that is just so catchy to me. Has to be one of my favorites by them and probably my favorite off the album. For my formal thoughts, I'll put it out there that I love this thing. Floral Green manages to carve a really good sound that is both pretty like moody and brooding while keeping it like intense and like hardcore. I love so many of the vocal performances, in particularly the songs done by Jamie Roden. I just think this guy has a great voice. I love songs like Lefty and Leaf and like Ritual and of course, the hit Head in the Ceiling Fan. However, like I said, this thing is definitely a little bit stuck in its ways. As many of the songs have a very like similar sound and flair, it is very much a child of the 90s. I can name like Sonic Youth and Dinosaur Jr. like just off the top of my head is like some very obvious influences. That being said, like it leans pretty heavily on those, which, to make it sound, a cohesive as an album. And it sounds great while doing it, but it does leave a little bit to be desired when it comes to an identity of its own. I come away from this thing thinking how well they mixed the influences that they did and not how well Title Fight sounds, if that makes sense. Which does take away from it a little bit. It kind of leaves it without much of, kind of its own identity or of its own say to things. But, despite all that, I do think it's great. It's pretty concise. It's about 33 minutes. And, I think it's a blast filled with energy that, I just can't help getting behind. It's got to be a strong 8 out of 10 for me.